Hello and welcome to another live stream. Today we're going to do a new character from Ben, and yeah, it's this really funny looking elf. So let me see here. Just do our traditional posting of the Facebooks. All right, share one. Share two. And done. Okay. All right. So let's get started here. Hello, hello. Okay, I want this guy to be kind of shortish. Let's show that ruler for a second. This will be his head. I think I'm just gonna make him as a bust. I might finish out his body. We'll see. Because it's so hilarious, and I love those little shoes with the buckle. He's kind of leprechaunish. But I picture him being like 1 meter tall, maybe. Well, his hat, not including his hat. His hat is huge, but something like this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I love there's a whole lineup of these characters that Ben has done. I guess it's a show that got canceled or didn't happen or something. I'm not sure where exactly this ended up and why, but I'm glad he was able to share them. Because a lot of times when studios shut down projects like this, they're not allowed to share them or ever see the light of day. So I'm glad that he was able to share them, which is awesome. All right. Yeah, this guy's, I love his mouth. He kind of reminds me of, what are those two characters on Alice in Wonderland? Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They kind of have that same kind of mouthish shape there. And his little Muppet nose and stuff. It's super cool. Little beady eyes. And straight hair for... I just love all these. And I think this is like braided with... I'm almost picturing it braided and then like yellow or a golden ribbon like wrapped around his... I don't understand what... That's kind of what I'm picturing these being, because it's like his little twisty beard right here. It has similar wrappings. So yeah, I'm going to kind of treat it like that. Yeah, his top hat's great. Okay. So instead of doing my traditional, a few spheres, I'm just going to use this one. We're just going to use this one. I'm not going to add a second one for his cranium versus his lower jaw. I don't think. I'm trying to decide if I want to do that, just because his lower jaw is so huge and it kind of envelops the entire thing. So, hey, Just Dude, how's it going? Thank you so much. Thanks, Neil. How's it going? All right. Okay, let's get going, huh? All right. I'm still trying to decide if I want to do a second sphere or not. I might as well stick with my tried and true methods. I'm gonna make this a higher resolution sphere, actually. Yeah, there we go. His head is, his lower jaw is really big. Let's center this. Okay. Yeah, see how it creates, this is pretty straight. So I'm gonna have to work on evening these two things out. Even bigger, something like that. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. And then his neck is, I just kind of picture his neck underneath that scarf just being almost like a super giant cylinder. Whoops, That's not what I meant to do. Let's undo that. If you ever have your gizmo showing and you select a different insert multi-mesh, it's going to replace whichever one is unmasked with the new selection. So sometimes you got to be careful with that. All right, so let's grab the cylinder now with the gizmo turned off. Let's make a big fat neck. Now I usually use I use this appendage brush to do necks, but this one's so cylindrical that I'm just going to use this cylinder. There's no rule that says, hey, you got to use this thing and nothing else. So let's go even bigger with that neck, something like that. HD Max, well, thank you so much. Hey, doing well. Yeah, I might end up doing the full character. For now, I'm just planning the bust. I have 2 hours to do this every week, so I try and kind of finish it up at least in 1 or 2 episodes. Sometimes it doesn't always happen. So, and sometimes I'll be having so much fun with it, I'll extend it to the body, you know, like I did with that mouse behind me. You can see it. Ah, you can see it right there. Yeah, I did that mouse during a few episodes on my live stream. So, and this guy's a Christmas elf, if you couldn't tell. Okay, so let's auto group these. Okay, and he has a very slanted, pointy head underneath that hat I picture. I kind of wish I would have done this a single cylinder. I think I still might. Why not? All right, I'm just going to delete that and bring this one up. Because I really want it to flow. Let's try this again. I was accidentally grabbing that cylinder and dragging it up. Anyway, I want it to flow from the upper to lower quite a bit, so I'm going to do it as 1. Yep, jingle bells in his hair. Holly. Got a little bit of holly on his hat. He's all sorts of festive. That's better. Okay. Just one big shape. Should get some music going on my end here. Maybe some Christmas music. Christmas. All right, try this. See how this goes. Making sure it's turned off or else it'll cancel my stream. All right. Perfect. Perfect. This is Last Christmas by Wham. That's perfect. All right, here we go. I'll try and resist singing. No promises though. HD, I did switch to my other mic. So, where did I put that thing? Oh, it's over there. Yeah, I was getting some weird, well, you probably heard during my live stream last Friday. It was pressing on I got some new headphones by Audio Technica, I think. Audiovox, something like that. And they would press on my ears. I'm too used to these. I'm spoiled with these over-ear headphones where these don't press on my ears. They're around my ears. And I have kind of large ears. So those on-ear headphones give me what I call ear fatigue. So I switched out. I did like the microphone on that, but you could hear every single little tap. And this one, you don't get that with this one. So even though it's kind of in the way and I kind of have to talk into it like this. Hello. Okay. Let's kind of give us an idea of now this ear I'm going to do as an appendage because they're long and pointy. All right. Very next day. Too funny. One of my first albums as a kid was Wham. Good old George Michael. Sad George Michael. He passed away on Christmas. Can you believe that? That's nuts. Think about. All right. Not to be a downer, but that's just kind of ironic. I know, Neil. No, they would, except for I can't sing, so they'll be like, maybe they'll ban me for that. You ruined the song. Which of the spheres did I start with? Just the my spheres from my insert multi-mesh brush. If you want this brush, you can go grab it over on my website, 3dcharacterworkshop.com. You can go grab those for free. Really? Okay. I've only been shut down for showing copyrighted images from Disney. Yeah, so in my opinion, Andrea, Snakehook is just another move brush, but it's a little more squishy and it has a bit of a more of a taper to it. So to get pointy bits like this, it's much easier to use the Snakehook brush for those things. But sometimes, yeah, it's just a feeling, I guess. It's just a different feeling move brush. Just making two little areas for those eyes to go. I keep forgetting to reset this. Man, his eyes are close, aren't they? Okay. Snakehook brush is pretty good for hair as well. Yeah, it can be. Actually, for hair, I like to use the elastic move brush. This move elastic, because the fall off is larger. This is when I'm wanting to manipulate a long strand of hair, not necessarily the tips. Snakehook would be good for the tips, but move elastic is good for like moving overall long lengths of hair. Yeah, dude, I was just telling Ben, those Dungeons and Dragons concepts are fantastic. They're really, really good. Let me check them out really quick here and show you guys. Oh, he's talking about. Look at these. Oh, they're kind of hard to see. He posted them individually. There we go. Look at this Dungeon Master. He's so great. He would be so fun to model. He's got all these really cool little lumpies everywhere, like on the back of his head, and yeah, just really, really awesome. And plus the shapes, just the overall shapes are so fun. Yeah, and then these serial characters too, like his take on like Tony the Tiger and all, just hilarious. I love him. And this from The Mandalorian. Yeah, I love the lips on this bantha thing. So cool. Anyway, fantastic. Thanks for letting me model this, Ben. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay, and let's get that nose in there. Now, here's a little trick. If you're trying to get, if you're wanting to scale this symmetrically, you can see how it's kind of off symmetry. The gizmo is not in the center. And it's hard to get into the center. Well, you'd think it would be hard, but it's not. All you have to do is turn off symmetry. Well, if I leave it on, I'll show you what happens. If I click on this, this little icon that says Go to Unmasked Mesh Center, if I click on that, it's going to center the gizmo in half of that nose. See? So it's taking into, it's taking the half of the nose into consideration. You can see how it's popping on both. So if you want it to get it in the center, all you have to do is turn symmetry off and then hit that button again, and now it's right in the middle. Just don't forget to turn symmetry back on, and now you can scale it without any problems. So if you're ever wondering how to get your gizmo in the middle of a shape that's in the center of the world, that's how you do it. Let's see. That's pretty good. I think I need to, I'm about ready to increase and sew this neck on there. But I'm going to keep the ears and the nose split for a longer time. Okay. So I'm going to split the nose and ears off. So you can hide stuff and just say split hidden, and it will put those in its own subtool. So this, I want to merge this, but if I merge it right now, the two densities are too far apart. So this is a very light density. You can see from the lines coming in. And this is a heavier density, so it's going to try and sew these together and make a mess. So what I want to do usually is just hit apply. And that applies the dynamic subdivision, which gives it real subdivision levels. And then I hit delete lower. And that's a little better, but not the best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tessellate this whole thing and try and get a more even connection point here. You can find tessellate underneath geometry. And then you just grab this slider and roll it down. There we go. So now we have even density along that edge. See that? And then we can just stitch it. And if you're going to do it with symmetry turned on, you have to make sure your gizmo is right in the center. And a good thing, it's already there, right in the center. So we shouldn't have any problems by hitting remesh by union. Boom. And then it's hard to see, but there's this little tiny gear. Sometimes you'll have to rotate your camera to see it. You can see it right there. To say accept. Now this is stitched, and you can see how the stitching went. See that? Okay. And this will create a nice base for us to work with. Also, I want to cut this mouth out. It's a very defining feature, and you can see the smile lines coming off of his nose is also a very defining feature. So I think I'm just going to push his mouth in. So it's about right here. Something like that, maybe. And then blur that and just kind of, it's going to look ugly for a minute. Oops. Got to turn my symmetry back on. Do you use Z-spheres? I don't. Thanks, Ahmed. Have you ever created Groovy Ghoulie? I don't know what that is, Doomer. Okay. You know what? I'm going to try something. I'm just going to pull it in with the move brush. Yeah, it works. Let's... Oh, he created... Oh, I don't know. Are you talking about me? I created a dope Zenyatta skin for Overwatch. Thanks. Okay, time to turn on some Sculptris Pro action. Let's crank this down. Let's crank it down even, well, up a little bit so they're not so small. There we go. That's a little better. What's actually Sculptris Pro, or what is that button called? I've never used it. So Sculptris Pro is like a dynamically generated topology is essentially what it is. Dynamic topology. And the reason it's called Sculptris Pro is because it came from a program back in the day that Pixologic bought from a guy. It's a single programmer, made a program. It's still available. It's called Sculptris. And it was one of the first programs to ever do this dynamic subdividing of topology. So basically, see how it's subdividing it, but it works with triangles. And so as you're working with it, so you're never going to run out of geometry. So for example, if I have it turned off and I try to use the snake hook brush, it's going to stretch and break. Now, Ashley, A Cubed, another streamer on here, she loves this because it gives her some ideas for her monsters and things. But if you turn Sculptris Pro on and do the same thing, you'll see it generates topology as you bring it out. So that's kind of what it does. And not all the brushes work with Sculptris Pro. Like, for example, Move does not, but Snake Hook does. You removed it from your toolbar? I don't know where it is, honestly. Yeah, maybe one of you guys can help out and post where it's at, because I can't remember where it's at. What is the hotkey for it, Neil? Is it in the brush menu? Sculptris Pro. But where is this button? Right here, this button. Is it in here as well somewhere? There's Sculptris Pro. This is Sculptris Pro per brush. Is where that is. Okay. Oh, that's the hotkey. Okay, so interesting. The slash. I'm listening to Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. I can't listen to that song without thinking about Home Alone. Oh yeah, hovering. Thanks for bringing that up. Squigglesworth love the name. This elf looks like it could have that name, Squigglesworth. Yeah, if you hover over it, it'll show you. Also, if you didn't know, you can hover over things and hold down the control key, and it will give you tool tips for what the thing does. So that's another super cool thing. Okay. Let's turn this range down to 3 on this topological, and now I can start closing the mouth. Okay. Now I might give myself a little guide to work with, another sphere, because his mouth is like a sphere on top of a sphere. So let me see. Just get this a little closer first. Hey, what's up, Rob? Oh yeah, that's also true. Okay, so that's I totally spaced that. Thanks, Rob. So if you hold Control and hover over stuff, it will also tell you the button path, where to find that icon. So this one is under Stroke Sculptris Pro. So Stroke Sculptris Pro. Oh, it's right there, duh. So there it is. Right there. Okay. Thanks, Rob. What is the reason you don't use, I'm assuming you're saying Z spheres, not spheres. I do use spheres, but I don't use Z spheres. And the reason why I don't use Z spheres is because they are connected. Right, me. So, but if I have that button, I can show you where it's at. You know, I have it, so. I want to tuck this lower lip underneath his upper. Hey, from Turkey. To close shapes, why not use pinch? Because I want a little more control than that. I use pinch along edges of things, like the edge of this lip. I'll eventually use pinch. But if I were to use it now, it just like it kind of destroys it. It destroys like beyond what I'm trying to do. I will use inflate in the corners to close the corners. I'm going to turn off Sculptris Pro for a minute. So that's why my number one brush of choice is the move brush. I use that more than anything because I just want to move stuff. I'm not looking for any like secret special brush shortcut. I'm just doing the thing. Okay. So build this whole area up because it's kind of like a, so my friend Adam Ford, he's an art director at Epic now. He used to call this a teacup mouth, kind of a, well, never mind. That was like an underbite mouth. This is an overbite mouth. So it's kind of similar. You start with a block out at work as well, or a base mesh. It depends on what I'm doing. If I have base meshes and the characters need to, like they belong to a specific license, like Disney Infinity or something like that, and I already have base meshes and the character is close, then yeah, I'll start with a base mesh if it makes sense. I don't start from scratch every single time. Okay, let's switch to a different material. This guy looks funny with no hat or brows or anything like that. So I love these materials by ZBrush because they really show off the surface, and I can see if it's, say these lips are very, very chunky and the brows are chunky. And then, let's see, where's that brush? There we go. Too much. Yeah, he's got a bit of chapped lip. You guys got some chapstick? Here, I'm gonna roll this down a little bit, get it tighter. How do you put small material icons in there? I've tried Control Black. Are you talking about here? Or what do you, or in here? Or what are you talking about? So you have to drag it from the material menu up here. Right there. And you have to have the user interface editing turned on, and then you just hold down, I think it's Control plus Alt, and drag them in there. So if you go to Preferences, go to Config, turn on Enable Customize right there. You can see it turns on like that. Then you just go to Material and grab one of these materials like the ZBrush Paint. I think it's Control Alt, yep, and just drag it over and drop it right there. Boom, there you go. That's how you put it in your interface. If you don't want it anymore, you just drag it out to the canvas and let it go, and now it's gone. And then turn that back off. But that's how you do it. Yep. Yeah, ZBrush Gray. So ZBrush Gray. He makes a whole bunch of different materials. Okay, so I'm gonna make a little helper with this. Insert a sphere. It's about like so. Split it. Because I want this whole mouth area is very spherical like this. Okay, so I can turn on transparent and see I can just use this little sphere as a guide to show me how far to pull his mouth out into a spherical shape. I don't want to project a sphere because that'll change my lips. I want to keep the overlap of the lips. But otherwise it'd be a great idea. I'm listening to that song it's the most wonderful time of the year. And he says scary ghost stories. I was like, is he talking about Scrooge? Or what? Looks like he's a big smile with big teeth. Okay, now I'm done with that sphere. I can hide it. See, now he's got more of a monkey-ish kind of round. You can kind of see this round shape in there, but then his lips stick out beyond that. So I'm going to exaggerate that, make his lips stick out even more. Okay. Make sure we save this. Are you going to rig the face later? Most likely not. Do you use layers to change the expression? Not usually. I mean, sometimes. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing morph targets, then yes. But more often than not, I will usually retopologize it and then rig it and then do the expressions that way if it's going to be an animated character. But if I'm going to be doing more expressions that are just kind of temporary, then I like to save it off as a new file rather than keep it in layers in the same file. Sometimes I'll do it in layers. It just depends on what I need to do with them, you know? Okay, let's do, just gonna pinch this. Whoops, too close. Is there a way to save the project and say, yeah, you totally can, but I use projects in a different way than most because projects for me get too large, and so I like to save the Z tool. It's just a much cleaner file, and in order to do a Z tool, you have to save it up here. Like I said, a Z project that gets really large. So. And it will keep all of the information with it, which I don't necessarily want. But sometimes I'll do a project. I use a project as a startup file, which is my ruler file, which it's just right here. That's my startup project right there. And if you want that, I give it away for free on my website at 3dcharacterworkshop.com if you want to grab it. Quick saving. So quick saves are saved as projects. And they're saved. I'm trying to remember. You can set them up as preferences and tell it where you want it saved. Okay. Yeah, it's Neil just linked it right there. Neil, do those links go over to Facebook? Do you know? Or would you mind just popping a link over there, please? Link's awesome. Shout out. I said link. Neil is awesome. Thank you, Neil, for posting links. He's my living robot. But I really appreciate it. Listening to a... It won't restream on Facebook. Oh, dang. Listening to an Elvis version of Here Comes Santa Claus. Here comes Santa Claus. I don't think I've ever heard this rendition before. Okay, let's get... Go. That's pretty funny. Okay, just kind of cutting this in and then I'll build it up. Sorry, I'm kind of quiet for a second, just concentrating. Building this up. Hello, how did you made the smooth line to make the line of the mouse? Are you talking about how'd you make, I think you said, how did you make the smooth line for the mouth? Are you talking about this right here? Just a pinch brush? This will be back up on YouTube if you want to watch it back. And then you can watch the whole process if you have questions about how I got to where I am right here. With the red line? I guess I don't understand the question. Are you talking about this brush right here? Like this right here? Yeah, that's Lazy Mouse. Right. So Lazy Mouse, yeah, you can turn Lazy Mouse on any brush and it will give you more control like this. This is my specific detail brush and it's just built from the Damien standard brush and it has Lazy Mouse turned on by default. So, Shiv, I usually save feedback for my students of my course. So, if you want, I do Q&A sessions for my students, and I do an online course called the 3D Character Workshop. So, if you're interested in that and joining the course, you can just check it out on 3dcharacterworkshop.com. Otherwise, you could send it to shane.olson@3dcharacterworkshop.com, and if I have time, I can get to it, but... Let's see. See, that's why I like the gray so much, because you can really see the surface and see how bad it is. All right, so I'm going to cut this eye out a little bit more. Thanks, guys. All right. Okay, I kind of want to reduce his chin. I think I went a little too overboard with it. All right, I got to change off of this song. It's dumb. There we go. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it'd be awesome to have you in there. And right now enrollment's always open, so when you're ready is when it's open. It's a self-paced course, so you just get in there and watch the videos and do some work and post it in the community, and yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, Kaba, there have definitely been students that have done exactly what you have just said. I can't guarantee it, of course, because you get out of it what you put into it. But there are definitely students that have gotten work, freelance work, and full-time work. So is it possible? Yes. Guaranteed no. Some, yeah, really great work coming out of there. There's it's really fun to show off the students' work because it's so good. Okay. How do you connect and smooth two objects? And I just barely earlier in this live stream I showed exactly how to do that. So I think if you're watching, I think you're watching on YouTube, I think you can rewind this and watch it. But I use Remesh by Union, and then a combination of that with Sculptris Pro. Oops. Okay. Elton John. Yeah, kind of, right? I'm a Brazilian physicist, 23, but always wanted to work make a 3D designer, animator course, college here in Brazil, and I'm thinking do your course for the final step. Yeah. There's a lot of people that use the course as supplemental material as well. Okay, I always run into this problem where I want smaller triangles. And to get smaller triangles using this method, I need to scale up the character. So you turn on this little thing, and then you can scale everything up. Some of these old Christmas songs are quite interesting. I want to flatten his lip out. I don't like it cutting in like that. So I was wondering how you were going to do the top lip slight curve upward. So hold on a second. Let me just get in here. Okay, so now I can do, yeah, smaller. I want to pull this corner of his lip in, corner of his mouth in towards this a little bit closer. I'm gonna have to rebuild this. Okay. The brush that you use that has the symbol similar to an open book, where did you find it in the brush library? It's not, this is my custom brush. So all of these brushes that look like this, these are brushes that I made that based off of other brushes other people have made. And you can just get them at 3dcharacterworkshop.com. So go to 3dcharacterworkshop.com, scroll down to where you see the blue box. I'll show you. So this is 3D Character Workshop right here. Just scroll down until you see this blue box, and you can get my brushes right here. Cool. Okay. No worries, Lewis. Thanks for hanging out. Did you make that Facebook E with bot? What are you talking about, Facebook E? Sorry, I don't understand. Okay. All right. Yeah, I really need to still shrink up. I'm gonna get a kind of a scarf placeholder in here. Whoops. Looks, it reminds me of a box troll kind of. Oh, did I make that face with box modeling? I did not. I made it with digital sculpting. I used to do box modeling back a long time ago in my career, but I mostly do digital sculpting now. Let's see here. Tilt it even more. Have I used Lightwave? A long time ago. Like maybe 1999, if I were to guess. Well, thanks, Neil. Whoops, let me see. I gotta split this off. Use Lightwave? Nice. Yeah, it's been around forever. Let's see. Hey, Sean. Well, since this is the Pixologic live stream channel and it's owned by ZBrush, I like to just keep the conversation to ZBrush. So I hope you can understand that. Will these brushes work in 2021? Yeah. So I'm using 2021.5. Which all upgrades are free. So yeah, just if you get the latest, they work with it. Awesome, Jules. Thank you so much. Glad you're enjoying it. All right, I'm just going to add some thickness to this through dynamic subdiv. Yep, no worries, Sean. Okay, let's see. So I can put these support loops in there like box modeling and get a tighter, kind of a tighter arc on it. Now I can kind of work around what I've got here. There we go. Some of my animations on my YouTube channel. Awesome. I can't look right now because I'm streaming. But cool. I was an animator for 5 years of my 22-year career, I think. All right. There we go. Josh says, have you experimented with the new cloth dynamics in ZBrush? Curious if it would aid in the costuming of your character. I have. I was on the beta for that when they were doing the cloth stuff, and yep, I like it a lot. I just don't. I need to use it more. I just don't use it enough. Thanks, Shiv. Like I said, it's based off of the Damien standard or yeah, Dam standard brush. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna split groups on this. Just saving it. All right. Let's get some detail on these ears now, shall we? Don't want to go too much. Something like that. Thanks, Neil. Okay. And this cloth brush isn't just for cloth. Like if I want to start making this overlap of this ear happen, just kind of start cutting it in. Let's go. I kind of guess on this. Too much. There. There we go. I don't want it to really affect the surface as far as the detail goes. When creating clothing and seams and stitches, what method do you find works best for you? I typically like to work non-destructively in case I need to change things. So depending on what it is, I will I'll make my own stitch brush, like with a whole bunch of little stitches, and then just run it along a curve. And so I'll make a curve that's along the edge of where the stitches are going to be, and then just kind of run it down that stitch line. That way I can move the stitches. I don't have an example that I can show you right off the bat, unfortunately. But just look into IMM curve brushes. There's a lot of them. Okay, I do want to reduce this now a little bit just to get some tighter triangles. So I like to work loose to tight, large to small. Sometimes it'll do that. It'll just throw a line across stuff. All right, Josh, thanks for hanging out. I'm just kind of using the move brush here to do my thing. I'm a traditional concept artist and 2D animator was made redundant. I plan to use ZBrush to complement my art concepts, and I will be posing numerous characters to produce compositions. Will the game design part of your workshop be useful for me to learn, or do you do a shorter course as well? The 3D character workshop right now currently is the only workshop that I offer. It's just one big thing that teaches all the things. I have thought about like breaking it up into smaller pieces so people could just purchase the thing they wanted to learn specifically. But so far I don't have that yet. But would the game portion help you? I believe so. I have a lot of traditional sculptors and concept artists in there right now, and some pretty high profile ones that yeah, I don't want to say, because I don't want to overwhelm or intimidate some of the students that are in there currently, but yeah, that's that are in your same situation, honestly, which is it's unfortunate to hear that you've been made redundant. That sucks. But more skills can always help, right? So what I would do is because I have an interview with another streamer on here. His name is Mike Thompson. Mike Thompson, he's a streamer on here. And he uses ZBrush for exactly what you just explained, where he will take 3D characters, model them up, and then he'll paint over the top of them and use them for because it helps with perspective, it helps with lighting and all that kind of stuff. So it's yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to learn, and it does help a lot. But I have an interview with Mike inside my course, and it's really, really good. All right. Yeah. It's always fun to watch you use sculpt. Oh, thank you so much, Anastasia. Thank you. If you're just starting out, do you recommend using body meshes from ArtStation? Christy, I don't, because if you use something that already exists, then you don't learn how to make the thing that you're using, right? It's like you're jumping too far ahead. So before you understand what it is you're actually doing. So I recommend learning blockouts, learning anatomy, and all that kind of stuff before you start using someone else's stuff. And also, you have to be careful too, because some of those base bodies are really, really well done, and some other ones not so much. And so it could be teaching you bad things if you're studying those as anatomy studies, you know. But once you get comfortable and you actually feel like you know how to do the anatomy and all that kind of stuff, those things can help you out a lot and speed up your process. But just beginning learning, I would avoid it, because you'll be tempted and you'll use them as a crutch instead of learning the skills. It is tempting for sure. So another thing I would say, that another caveat to that is, it depends on your goal too. if your goal is, if you're just a hobbyist and you're wanting to make like miniatures for say D&D or something, and you just want to grab one of those bodies to then put a whole bunch of armor and whatever on, then do it, you know. But if you're trying to become a character artist, then you're going to need to know anatomy, and to understand anatomy, you don't want to start with it already done for you. You know what I mean? So that's the little asterisk, you know, is like, it depends on what you're wanting to do with the 3D character once you're done with it. If you're just a hobbyist, you're just wanting to print something out that you've put armor on, then that's a whole different thing. But if you're trying to do this for a living and you want to get a job doing it, and you're going to be expected in the job to know your anatomy and stuff, then you don't want to fake it, you know, and then get in there and then you're just like, oh yeah, I don't know anatomy. So anyway, if that makes sense. Well, thanks so much, HD. I appreciate it. "3D Character Workshop is a 30 money day guarantee." Yeah. It does have a guarantee, but it's 14-day. So I kind of shrunk it down to like a 14-day trial of the thing rather than a 30-day. So, but yes, there is definitely a guarantee there. Pretty risk-free. And it is absolutely risk-free. It's not pretty risk-free. It's pretty much if you don't like it, just refund it, you know. And I'm proud to say that I've had very few refunds, and the ones that I have had have come back. Not all of them, but a lot of them have come back because they'll usually buy it on a whim, and then like the next week they realize they need to pay rent instead. And they'll be like, I bought this a little too on a whim, so could I get a refund? And then they come back when they actually have the money. So okay, let's get some eyebrows in there. Naruto. A lot of my students do Naruto stuff and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. I try and stay away from licensed characters when I'm doing my live streams. Okay, let's switch this over to Skin Shade 4. We're at about hour and 15 minutes. Not bad. This mouth is still bugging me. I gotta fix it. Yeah. Yeah, I hope so too. No, yeah. That is one part of the workshop that I never expected, is A, the people that are coming out of it, and B, the, you know, just who I've helped and how I've helped them. Is I was not expecting that at all. So that's been a really nice bonus benefit to the whole thing. Okay. So I'm going to kind of smooth the transition out right here. Thanks, HD. Okay, let's get him some eyebrows, and then we'll put, I think the top hat will really start to sell it. But we can put some skin tones on him. I kind of, it's interesting how Ben does this kind of yellowish, whitish skin tone here. I mean, it's part of just the sketch and the drawing and some reds on his nose and ears, but I think I'm just going to go for a very, very light skin tone. I don't want to make him too orange yellow. Maybe let's try this. little more orangish. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. His eyes are this kind of yellowish. I might make them a little lighter, whiter than that, but that's how orange his nose is. That's pretty crazy, but I'm going to try it. So if I grab, yeah, this yellow is just going to be straight up yellow. But let's see. I'll dust the surface with it and see what it does. Maybe. Okay. Okay. Now, colors, to me, color is super important because color has a weight and a feel and just, you know, it can change everything. Oh, that's interesting, HD. Okay, I'm just going to fill this. I'm not going to put stripes in his neckerchief yet, but I did want some color on the bottom of it. All right, let's give him some eyebrows. Eyebrows help a lot, and we'll give him some pupils. Whoa. And that little single tooth. Tooth. It's got a tooth. It can, Doug, but you don't want to hide stuff. That is why I kept it gray and used that ZBrush gray for so long, because you want to kind of show everything on the surface. Get all the issues out of there. How or where can I get new brushes? Are you talking about these brushes? So these brushes you can get from my website if you want, but there are a lot of places you can get different brushes. You can get them on the ZBrush ZBrush Central. Find some there. XMD Workshop or XMD, that's a whole like brush organization plugin. And it comes with a whole ton of brushes. Bad King has a whole bunch of brushes. But my specific ones, and these are what I use almost always, is why I made them, is at 3dcharacterworkshop.com if you want to check that out. Rarely add color until I'm satisfied. The monotone sculpt itself, yep, sells itself. Yep. Some people add color early on, are very successful. Yeah. So a lot of the guys I worked with at Disney, they would leave it gray all the way till the very, very end and would even hand it in gray. And, you know, it just depends. Okay. Now this is why I like to leave my ears separate, because I can move these anywhere and change the entire look of the character just by changing the placement of the ears. So it looks like they're about there. And maybe a little bit back. Yeah, for sure. The Rankin Bass stuff, right? Okay. So I'm going to do some eyebrows. Then we'll get his top hat on there. Hey, Ryan. How's it going? Okay. Okay. Thanks, Neil. Let's see. Let's do dynamic subdiv. In the frozen tundra. All right. Green eyebrows. Why not? Let's grab like this kind of like yellow green. I don't know what color that is in the hat, but I don't ever like to do solid black. Yeah, something like that. There we go. All right. Okay, he also needs some eyelids too. Hey, what's up, Sumerian? How you doing? I sent your invite. And thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Okay, I've been doing eyelids recently by just doing it like my eyebrows and just drawing them on. Actually, I'm going to try the transparent technique, because then they'll stick to the eyeballs and ignore the head. Whoops. Then I can draw inside and across. And I also love that you guys like sit here and watch me and like say, hey, you should try this thing. Because this came from a suggestion from, I can't remember if it's one of the students or people watching this. I think it was one of the, I can't remember. Oh, nice. Okay, so now we got this. Click on the surface at draw size 1, split unmasked points, arrow down, and now we have eyelids. But I want to redo this center line. It's all horked, so let's do this instead. That way, I can extrude the eyelashes right off of this lower piece. Ooh, that's too thick. Uncrease all. Yeah, something like that. Did you use a panel loop on the top brow? No, it's just I used the topology brush and then just drew it on there, and then just used dynamic thickness. I don't use panel loops hardly at all anymore. I use them for hard surface stuff occasionally when I'm doing hard surface, but not too often. Yeah, it's dynamic thickness. And the reason I really like dynamic thickness is because it's essentially stuck to the surface. Well, it's not stuck to the surface. It's stuck to the surface as you create it, but it's a single-sided surface that's very, very editable. I think I like his whole eyelid dark like that. I don't know why, but I could do more detail. Let's see. So with this, I can go into the sub tool and duplicate it now. So it's right here. Duplicate. Let's name this eyelid so we can keep it straight. And name this one eyelash. I guess you could say eyelids, eyelashes, whatever. Okay, so this one, let's turn off dynamic sub-D, and I can essentially, let's see, click on select lasso and hide this. And here's my eyelashes now. So it's a separate piece that I can hover just above the eyelid. Thanks. Thanks for calling me a tool. No, that's funny. Yeah, it kind of it speeds up. Like if you're used to traditional box modeling, this is definitely a sped up workflow. So now I have some, depth to those eyelashes, and now I can color his eyelid. I can just eyedrop a color right off of what's next to it. Actually, I want to grab kind of this yellow, like this darker yellow from his head, and we can fill it. So I grab this hard paintbrush and hit fill color, and there it is. Now he's got little eyelashes that are kind of along the edge of that. And if I want to adjust them, say they're too thin, I want them to have a little more weight to them. It's easy because it's just a single-sided surface. What you're editing looks like this. You can turn on double just so you can see the back. But it's kind of like, it's almost like a piece of paper that you're manipulating, right? And I can thicken this up really easily by masking off one half of it. I can just do this mask lasso, hold down Control, and just mask lasso the bottom half of this thing, and use my gizmo and just grab and just kind of move my camera so I'm looking down at the thing, and then I use these corners to just pull it up and make it have more thickness. And you can also be in this mode too. I'm just hitting D to turn on dynamic subdivisions. That just gives me this smooth preview. And then I can, this is what I'm talking about, it being non-destructive. So I can go in and edit it and adjust it. If it were actual geometry with thickness, that'd be more of a pain in the butt to adjust that thing. So now it's got a little bit more weight to it. And I can also do like thick to thin with it, which is nice. If I want to. When those lashes are exported, so the dynamic thickness becomes committed to the mesh. No, you have to commit it yourself. So you basically have to hit apply over here. See the word apply? And that will basically apply the dynamic subdivisions and make them real subdivisions. So, and subdivisions are what they sound like. It's subdivided geometry. So each face, each square is being subdivided by 4. So you're multiplying it by 4. I do this because it's essentially dividing that face into 4 smaller faces. And it's dynamic is doing that 3 times. So 3 times 4 is what you're going to end up with as far as your geometry level. Okay. So with this this hat, what we can do is just grab our cylinder insert multi-mesh brush, draw this out, and then I want it in its own subtool, so split unmask points, and I can grab a color off of here just so we're working with kind of this green instead of a yellow. And I made this cylinder brush very specifically, or with something very specific in mind. You'll notice how it doesn't have any spans along the length of it, right? And the reason why is is because if I want to make a cone out of this, let's say, I can mask off the bottom half and scale the top half, and it makes a cone. But if I want to make something like this shape, then I need spans down the length of it. So I can just grab this Z-modeler brush and insert them. Come on, clear it. I don't know why it's not working. That's working. Insert edge loop. For some reason, I don't know why, it's not letting me insert meshes. Okay. It could be, oh, I know why. I know why. When I drew it, see how it's not symmetrical. So when you do an insert multi-mesh, it's going to insert it based on the last known position of your gizmo. So see how my gizmo's turned to the side, all strange. So basically what I need to do is readjust it like this. And remember, if you've been with me since the beginning of this live stream, I said if you click on an insert multi-mesh with the gizmo showing, it will replace whatever object you have with whatever you click on. So I click it and it's going to replace it, but this one's going to be centered and symmetrical. So now I can move this back down, and now it's all centered and nice. And that's why it wasn't being nice with us, is because it wasn't symmetrical. Okay, so now if we go to the Z-modeler brush, boom, we can insert an edge. Okay, so now with this edge, we can make some adjustments. So this is flared out at the top. So we can go like this, and with symmetry turned off, click on this button and it will center the gizmo in the middle of that unmasked area. I can scale it up like this. Okay, and then it just kind of swoops down. And this portion is smaller, so let's do that again. And then it kind of fans out a little bit. Okay, now if I turn on dynamic subdivisions, it gets kind of smooth like this. Is there a benefit using insert versus append? The only benefit is insert will put it in the list right beneath the current active subtool, and append will put it on the very, very bottom of your entire list. That's the only difference between the two. That's a great question. Okay, let's get this back on here looks like a chef's hat. Something like this. On an open fire. Jack Frost at your nose. All right. I better stop before I get banned. Hey there, Kason. I'm just listening to that song. Okay, I'm just putting this loop. I want to put it right up next to the edge. Slide. Edge loop complete. Right up there. And I want to shrink this just a little bit. Oh, I don't have symmetry turned on yet. Also, notice how I'm using the edge of the mask lasso as a straight edge. So between points, it's going to give you a straight edge. So you can see it's really loopy except for where the 2 points are. And that area is straight. And so I'll put this top of this hat, I'll align it to the camera as best as I can because I want to just unmask the top. So I'll start over here by holding down Control, and doing a big thing like this, using that straight edge and coming down here. Now, if I add Alt to the mix, it's going to mask everything except for the top of that hat. So now I can center this and just scale it down slightly. And if I get rid of my creases and then turn on dynamic subdivs, it'll give me a nicer bevel on the top there. See that? But not at the bottom because I didn't do it to the bottom yet. So I got to make a support edge around that bottom. So I can do the same thing. Insert. Now with an insert edge, a really cool thing you can do is turn up the intensity. So if you turn up the intensity, it's going to pop it out a little bit. See? And so then I don't have to go through that whole masking, unmasking, scaling thing. I can just add a little bit of intensity. And basically what it does is it scales along the object normals just slightly. And then I can put a few more down the length of this thing. But if I do that, I'm going to want to scale it. Something like that, sure. Now, something I could do too is bevel this. So you can do a bevel in edge loop complete if you want more like that. Yep, this is the hat. Okay. Just looking at this for a second. I'm going to need to fix his cheek. See how far it comes out over here. Mine isn't coming out quite far enough and it's not round enough. And I need to adjust those ears. After we get the hat brim on there, I'm going to point them up a little bit more. Let's flare that hat out a little more. A lot more. I like how much it's flared out. Do you ever sculpt with dynamic perspective? Not very often. I'll turn it on occasionally just to check things out, but usually I work in orthographic inside of ZBrush specifically because it's very easy inside of ZBrush to get off of symmetry. So if you'll notice, I'll be snapping to the front, snapping to the side quite often in orthographic as to not break my symmetry. Otherwise, perspective, you can see if I snap to the front and I have it over here, it's not really, it's going to add perspective to it. See? So I'll turn it on to check it, but I don't work that way. Okay. Yeah, Ian, I will get to it eventually. I'm just kind of noticing things out loud. So it's always a long work in progress a long work in progress. Let's see. I'm just gonna fill his hat. Let's get that greenish color. There we go. Yep, currently a chef's hat. Not quite a top hat. Okay, now something I could do is I could duplicate this top hat. I always like to use geometry that's already there. And I'm thinking about this brim. And basically what I can do is, see, I just want this cap. and maybe this edge as well. So let me hide. Let's turn off Sculptris Pro just in case, but I'm going to hide this loop. And now I can do auto groups and hide this. Now I just have this lid. Delete hidden. And this will become our brim. We can turn on double just so we can see it. Working that dragon of yours, and must say I'm having a blast. Thank you for all the work and effort you're putting in for all of us. Yeah, Nick, thanks. Appreciate it. Okay. So I want this, I do want the brim on there, but I want it flat. So I can grab this clip curve brush and then just kind of hover it over here. And it's going to squish that flat. And I want to add dynamic thickness on here so I can actually see it from the side. When I snap it, you see it just kind of disappears. So I love dynamic thickness for that reason. You can just add some thickness to it and see it just like that. Okay, maybe a little bit more, just so we can see it better. Excuse me. Okay, so now to flip it up, well, let's shape it a little bit better. Okay. Now the brim is really near his eyebrows. So let's get it down here, and then I'll bring the ears up to kind of match it. Okay. I want to turn on symmetry now. Let's save it in case I ever want to go back. Okay, I'm just masking that center because I want to try and start to bend this brim, but I think I'm going to use that transpose master trick to do this portion. I just drag it out, and if you're on move, you can bend it and rotate it up. Oops. Gotta be careful to grab this and then bend it again. That's too much. Not so much, just a little bit. Okay, let's bring in the corners. Hey, what's up, Chicken Hawk? Hope everyone's having a great start to their week. Yeah, me too. Thanks. I didn't understand why you cut it and then tick it. I don't understand the question. Cut. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna bring this loop in. I'm gonna put make this loop a poly group if I can. Cut it and then thicken it. Is that what you meant? Thicken it, Lewis? Thickness? I think you're saying thickness. No worries. No worries. So yeah, the reason I add thickness is just to keep it non-destructive. a second. Yeah, I still prefer this older method. I don't know, call me old school, I guess, but I like bending it using the transpose. Just I feel like it's, I don't know why. I don't have an answer. Just bringing this brim in just a little bit more, bringing it down. Yeah, I'm not, that shape is not feeling right. There we go, that's better. So this is just making it so I can adjust it, keep it so I'm essentially editing this as a single thickness shape like this. Single-sided surface. I'm adding the thickness after the fact and making it all smooth. So yeah, to make the edge thinner, it's really easy to just, this is what I'm talking about, non-destructive. I can just go into dynamic and I can just reduce the thickness of it, and then it's a thin brim, if that makes sense, and it's sharper. But I can also this is how detailed it is. I could add one level of subdivision and then delete that level, and now it's this detailed, right? So it's a little more dense. Okay. I like it with a little bit of thickness and a little bit of a brim on there. Okay, and now we can take that hat and his head and match it to the brim. Oh. It's definitely a puzzle. His hair will be a puzzle for sure. Be careful. It's easy to make warbles. Thanks. Oops. Gotta make sure symmetry is on for this. Wish you guys could hear the song I'm listening to. Jingle bells, but it's like old 30s, 40s. Pretty funny. Oops. Yeah, his eyebrows got eaten up by the hat, didn't they? Where'd his eyebrows go? You know what? That's a good point. Let's fix it. In a winter. The top half of the hat is dynamic subdiv, yes. Boolean? No. It's just a cylinder with dynamic subdivisions turned on. How would you go about giving this character animation ready topology? I would retopologize it typically in a different program. Okay, I need to, now that everything's in place, I want to adjust his ears. Okay. Yeah, UVs typically somewhere else as well. I like doing temporary UVs in ZBrush, but if I'm doing game production, I'll typically do that somewhere else. All right, I need to adjust that hat some more. You're giving away my secrets, Neil, but yes. They're not really secrets. Messing up his head, but that's okay. We won't see it. It's covered by his hat. And I want to put it back a little bit more and maybe even smaller. Right now I have one payment plan, it's just split into two. The reason I don't really do anything other than that is because it's just me. So I hate tracking down payments, you know? I'd rather work on making more content than being a track down payment guy. Whatever that is. The repo man. Yeah, that. Yeah, loan shark. So I just keep it to two. This is warbly. You mean like not Stewie, but oh yeah, it is Stewie, isn't it? Where's the money, man? Where's the money? Oh man. Too funny. So I hope you can understand that. I mean, I would really like to offer more more ways, you know, but that always stops me. I'm just like, yeah, I don't really feel like being that guy, you know. Look at that head. Time to shrink it on down. Got a bit of a ape head. Super Flathead Jerry. That's his name. Because I'm looking for a way for his head to kind of go up into his hat, but it's making it a little difficult. How do you feel about Sculptris versus Dynamesh? I have a pretty big opinion on it lately, more lately than and I used to use before Sculptris Pro. I used to use Dynamesh a ton, but when Sculptris Pro came out, I kind of have started to change it into my workflow and use it all the time now, because Dynamesh will rebuild your entire mesh every single time, like the whole thing, whereas Sculptris is more localized to where you're adding the geometry where you need it. Yeah, Dynamesh, like for example, this guy, if I were to Dynamesh this face, it would sew his lips shut and it would get rid of all my creases. But with Sculptris, it wouldn't. I'll just add what I need. So yeah. There we go. All right. I think I'm going to add pupils and wrap this up for the day, and maybe continue this next time, because there's still a lot of stuff I want to add to this bust. But yeah, let's give him some little pupils. Huh, not cylinders. Let's give him spheres. Let's see. There we go. Am I going to be on later? I stream every Monday from well, it's noon my time, which is 11 a.m. Pacific time, for 2 hours. So every week for 2 hours is what I do. So later next week, yes, not later today. Tuesdays, 8 a.m. New Zealand time. Holy cow. Well, thanks for joining me. Yeah, this should be up on Pixologic's YouTube channel later on. And you can see the whole process. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. Happy holidays. Let's see, next Monday is the 28th, and it will be, yeah, after Christmas. So here in the US. but before New Year's. So we will catch you next Monday. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And as always, if you'd like my user interface, my brushes, you can grab those for free over at 3dcharacterworkshop.com. And I also teach an online course if you want to take your skills to the next level and learn how to create stylized characters like this. So thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful week. Happy holidays. And we'll catch you next week. All right. Take care. We'll see ya.